Small businesses and working families throughout Vermont and around the country are facing incredibly challenging times. These problems are especially acute in my state, where we rely so heavily on small businesses to create jobs for our citizens and to make Vermont the desirable place to live and to visit that it is. The federal government has rightly recognized the important role that small businesses play in our economy. From SBA loans to USDA rural development grants to small business set-asides or government contracts, a variety of targeted federal programs join with small businesses to help them grow and prosper. And this Congress has enacted several job-creating steps. Just last year, I was able to lead the effort here in the Senate to enact a major overhaul of our nation's outdated patent laws. The Leahy-Smith America Invents Act is going to create jobs, but also, and very importantly, it's going to help unleash more American innovation and doesn't add a penny to our deficit. In fact, last year, Vermont was awarded more patents per capita than any state in the Union. Of course, those patents mean more jobs for Vermonters. And 2 weeks ago, we made further progress by passing a transportation funding bill. It's going to make vital investments in our nation's roads and bridges and transit systems, and a student loan bill that will lower the cost of college borrowing for thousands of students and their families. I might say these student loans are extremely important. I remember the one I had when I was in law school, 10-year loan. Two things happened the year of that last payment, that 10th payment on my student loan from law school. One, a satisfaction my wife Marcella and I had in paying off the loan, but the second was that same year I was sworn into the United States Senate. I wonder if I would have been here had we not been able to have the money to go through school. But I think we can and must do more to help our struggling small businesses and working families. That's why I strongly support the bill before us today that will provide small businesses with tax incentives to begin hiring again. The bill is a multi-pronged strategy for spurring job creation and create a tax credit for businesses to hire new workers or increase wages for their current workers. In other words, instead of saying we just give a tax break to extraordinarily wealthy people, somehow jobs will create, we say, let's see the jobs. Show me the jobs. Show me the jobs. If you have a tax credit for businesses that hire new workers or increase wages for their current workers, then that is a good use of our tax code. And secondly, it would allow businesses to immediately write off all the major purchases they make this year. That's a tangible incentive for new investments, new hires right away. I don't support this bill just because the president supports it or the Democratic leader supports it or most of the members of my side of the aisle support it. They all do stand me on this effort. I'm grateful for that. I support this bill because I've heard from small business owners in Vermont, Democratic and Republican alike, who tell me they would make capital improvements and put people to work immediately if this bill were signed into law. And I suspect the same would be true in virtually every other state in this country. On the shores of Lake Champlain, in the northern border town of Highgate, Vermont, sits one of America's most genuine and beautiful family resorts, the Tyler Place Family Resort. Year after year, families flock to the resort to spend time with their families, swimming and boating and enjoying a summer campfire. It is the kind of place that draws the same families year after year, where multi-generational families take time to enjoy each other's company, as well as the great food and the magnificent views. It's easy to forget, especially when you're sitting there watching the sunset over a beautiful, great big Lake Champlain. There's one of the millions of small businesses that keep America's economy moving forward and Americans at work. Last year, I heard from the owners of the resort, including Pixley Tyler Hill, a dogged advocate for Vermont, for Vermont's tourism industry, and for Lake Champlain, about their interest in seeing an extension of the bonus depreciation provision that expired in December. Her brother, Ted Tyler, summed it up by saying, "These changes in the tax law make all the difference in the world in decisions whether to spend money, and thereby stimulate the economy and increase employment in the process. For example, consider a resort deciding whether to add tennis courts, put in a new sewer system, upgrade roads, or do major landscaping work. Say at an anticipated cost of $300,000. Absent bonus depreciation, the company will have paid $300,000, but it can only deduct $20,000 that year as an expense for tax purposes. True enough that over the next 14 years, the business can continue to write off $20,000. But how many small businesses can afford to wait that long to recoup the $280,000 they no longer have?" Pixley and Ted have had me sold the minute they explained that this tax incentive was a difference between making new investments and hiring someone and sitting on their hands waiting for things to change. Extending the provision alone is a reason enough to pass the bill. Mr. President, this bill is full of a million other reasons why we should be working with all the determination we can muster and promptly pass it. Pass it now, while the economy needs it. It's a good, solid reason for each of the jobs we create for working families and businesses all over America. So I urge all senators to work without delay on this important legislation. Businesses in each of our 50 states are waiting for us to lend another helping hand to the Economic Recovery Act.